Hey there, everyone. How's everyone doing? I am so happy you all are here. Today, we're going to be talking about one of the coolest topics ever. Actually, I'm trying to pull a fast one on you. It's one of those topics that we don't enjoy, but I feel like it's so important to talk about because if you can make some changes in your life, I'm convinced that this particular topic will help you be so incredibly good looking, and it will also help you get to your dreams and wishes faster than anything else. What the heck could we be talking about today? We're talking about complaining. Who here complains? Who here is willing to admit they're a complainer? The truth is that we all complain. We all complain, and some of us do it more so than others. Some of us do it all day long, every day. Some of us do it occasionally. But the bottom line is that we all do it, whether we're complaining about the meal we had or the flight we endured or the relationship with so-and-so. Today we're going to talk about complaining. Not the best topic, but what I can promise you 100% is that by working on your complaining and learning how to do it differently, it really is going to make you incredibly good looking. And doesn't everyone want to be better looking? Raise your hand if you want to be better looking. Right, we all do, right? I do. I definitely want to be better looking. But then I also want to be able to move closer and faster to my dreams and wishes. And I've learned one of the best ways to do that is to work on complaining. All right, so bear with me. It's a fact of life. We all do it. And I want to tell you to stop doing it, but I also am going to tell you and give you some tools on how to complain differently. But let's analyze complaining a little bit. Look at me, okay? No legs. These arms are really weird looking, and this arm doesn't touch your face, as you probably know. This arm looks like this. How in the world, looking like this, was I able to marry the woman I married? I mean, look at this picture of her. She's beautiful, right? How was I able to have such really neat children? 4 of them. How was I able to build multiple million-dollar organizations? I can tell you that I'm not a complainer. I don't know if I was born that way. I don't know if it's in my genes. I don't know if it was part of my upbringing. Probably a combination of everything. But I am really not a complainer. And I have every reason to complain, right? When I was born, did my parents want me? No, they put me up for adoption. So I could complain about that my whole life. My parents didn't want me. How can anyone love me? I'm friends with a lot of black people. And sometimes the topic of racism comes up. I'm a little bit younger than some generations, but in my generation, and especially younger generations, black people like to bring up racism. And it's all over the media. The media's attracted to it. Everyone's talking about how do we get rid of racism, and racism is huge and a tremendous issue. And everyone's complaining about it, right? I'm going to give you some more examples of how people complain. I'm friends with a lot of people who have different sexual orientation. And they like to complain. They like to complain about how people aren't open to them and choosing a different gender and how people are mean to them. And in some cases, that may be right. I was born without legs and funny-looking arms. There's a lot of truths that come with being born this way. And slavery did exist. Racism did exist. It does exist. But here in the United States of America, look at Martin Luther King and look at what he did for people of color. Did he sit there and complain all day long? Or did he get into action And did he say, hey, look, let's look at the reality and then let's move on. Let's not sit here and complain about it. Let's do something about it. We had a black president here in the United States of America. Oprah Winfrey is done phenomenally well. So is Michael Jordan. This is a country that has done some significant things and been an opportunity for people of color to move away from slavery and to move into the path of greatness. Colin Powell is one of my favorite people of all time, and he's black. And is he sitting there talking about racism? Is he sitting there talking about complaining? I don't know if you know Colin Powell, but if you don't, read his books. And of course, everyone knows Oprah. Is she sitting there complaining? Not really. I'm friends with a lot of Republicans and Democrats. And what do they do all day long? Right? We complain about each other. We complain about the other party and what they're doing and la 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 la. I'm friends with a lot of homeless people and people on welfare. I'm friends with people who complain about their kids' teachers and coaches, about how the teacher did an injustice to their kid and their coach isn't playing their kid enough. Can you imagine if I was in a sport, how uncomfortable that'd be for everybody? My handicapped son's not getting played enough. Well, your handicapped son cannot move the ball because he's on a skateboard. Can I move the ball? Yes, that's not the point I'm making. But the point that I'm making is, what's the purpose of complaining? I'm friends with a lot of people who complain about their spouses. I'm friends with a lot of people who complain about their job or their pay. I live in Portland, where a lot of people complain about the rain. I complain. I just recently complained over Christmas. And I was bad. I was really yucking it up. I was complaining over Christmas that as a small business owner, I hate Christmas. Well, what a horrible thing to say. Do I really hate Christmas? No, I love Christmas. But what was I saying? And who was I saying it to? Well, I was saying it to my family. I was saying I hate Christmas. Because as a small business owner, our customers were trying to, not pay us and kind of build up that cash going into the next year. And as a small business owner, Christmas is really a tough time financially. I complain over snow. When it snows, I turn into a complainer. I complain to myself over a lot of the stupid decisions I make. We all complain, right? I'm telling you, complaining is ugly. Have you ever gone into an old folks' home, a skilled nursing facility or an assisted living facility? Or do you know some old people, old family members that come to Christmas or Thanksgiving and they're just sitting there complaining? You don't want to complain because it makes you look ugly. Me and my family, we just recently moved into a condominium complex downtown. And we did that for a whole slew of reasons. But this particular condominium that we moved into, there's a lot of old people. And oh my gosh, we are the young family with young kids, and we are disrupting life. And I think we're now up to like 33 complaints in 1 month of people complaining about us. And so when I look at those people that are complaining about us and what they're complaining about, I look at them and I go, they're kind of ugly to me. There is no way on God's green earth, had I complained about my disability, that my wife would have even entertained the thought of being attracted to me. If I complained about not having legs and that my arms don't work well and that, I've got a hearing aid in this ear and my bladder doesn't work and I have to use a catheter to go pee, do you think if I complained about any of those things just once that my wife would have ever been attracted to me, complaining makes you look ugly. And the more you do it and the more often you do it, it kind of wears on your skin. You start to see it physically on people, right? And who here is attracted to complainers? Who here, out of everyone on the Winnie the Pooh scene, their favorite character is Eeyore? Nobody. And out of all the Snow White dwarfs, is Sad anyone's favorite? Is Sad even a character? I think it is, right? One of the dwarfs is Sad. Is that one your favorite? No, but there are people that are attracted to complainers. And it makes you ugly, and it slows you down. Life stops. You get stuck. I hate my job. They don't pay me enough. They work me too much. Blah, 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 blah. Is that person ever going to get out of that rut? No. I could tell you I owned a for-profit business for 16 years. And so many of all the employees that are at the $35 an hour level down, they tend to be complainers for the most part. They're always complaining about their job, and they don't do anything about it. And the funny thing is that the for-profit company I started, we have a part-time minimum wage maintenance cleaner who ended up being the chief operating officer of the company. And I could tell you how he got there. One of the things is I never have ever heard him complain. Even to this day, as chief operating officer, when things have gotten really difficult, he never complains. So when I tell you today's topic about complaining is one of the things that will make you one of the best looking people on earth, but it'll also help you get to your dreams and wishes faster than anything else. I know this from experience. I've seen it. Some of your favorite people in the world are probably those who don't complain. It stops your life. It's as if you're getting totally stuck in the mud. All right, so what do you do, right? Because we all complain. Is there a way to do it appropriately? And the answer is yes. You can complain with laughter and joy and a smile and maybe a little scotch of sarcasm. You can complain by asking questions. My daughter had an A in history this semester. She took her final exam and got an F on it. And so that brought her grade down to a B minus. So some parents in that situation want to go to the teacher and be like, what the heck? My daughter has straight A's. She had an A in your class prior to the exam. And they start to complain, right? What we did, which is a little bit different, is we went in to her counselor and we said, we'd like to ask some questions if we may. Okay, go for it. What are the questions? Well, we're not sure if it's available or not, but we'd like to know if there are any kids in Kate's situation where they had a full letter grade better than what they ended up with at the end of the semester, and whether half the class struggled with the final, or was it really just Kate? And does she need to work harder in studying? Well, the response from the counselor's like, my gosh, I can't believe you're asking me that way. And I said, well, what do you mean? And she said, I've gotten about 5 emails and 4 phone calls of irate parents saying that this teacher needs to go. And I said, yeah, that's just not our style. And she says, well, we're actually looking into it. And she says, because of the way that we asked her, we're going to be the first people to get a response. I live in Portland where everybody complains about the rain, and I'll never forget my Uncle Jim. Whenever someone complains about the rain, he always says, yeah, but it's how we have all these beautiful green trees. And he's right. It's so hard to live in society if and when you chose a different sex orientation. That's a tough one. Society is not ready for it. Society's kind of okay with people with disabilities, right? They're used to it. But boy, some of the ways we're going as it relates to sexual orientation, it's new. It's different. People want to complain about it. Let them. But don't you complain back. I'm a person with severe disabilities. And I shouldn't have married as pretty of a girl as I did, and I shouldn't have started businesses, and I should be on welfare and assistance by the government, right? And I should be living in the past. Because people with disabilities 50 years ago, where were they, right? They were under a rock. I have a lot to complain about. But I could tell you something. A lot of people love me and want to be my friend. And I think that's the case because I'm not sitting here on my skateboard complaining all the time about how hard it is for me to shave or how hard it is for me to go pee and what an inconvenience it is. I got to tell you that about a year and a half ago, and I've said this story over and over again, but there's no harm in saying it over and over again, because I think people, including myself, should hear this story more. But when the doctor a year and a half ago said that my bladder wasn't going to work ever again and that I had to use a catheter in order to go pee, not a lot has ever gotten me depressed in life. But boy, I'll tell you, that did. I was in bed for a week, and I didn't really want to talk to anybody, and I was depressed, and I don't remember if I was a compulsive complainer or if I was negative or if I was complaining a lot. I don't remember. But I can tell you how I got out of that rut. And it was probably the biggest rut I've ever been in my life. Life froze for about a week. I stayed in my bed and did not want to come out. And rather than complain about having to use a catheter in order to go pee every time, I nicknamed going pee my favorite part of the day. What about when you get a bad meal at a restaurant? What do people like to do? I got a bad meal, right? So what I've done is I've gone to the waiter or waitress and I said, hey there. I said, is this restaurant one that wants feedback? And they're either going to say yes or no or maybe, or you can kind of read their body language. And if their body language is, I don't want you to talk to me, don't waste your time complaining. But a lot of times, and in a lot of cases, the waiter or waitress will be like, absolutely, we want to know. And I'll say, well, I said, either I've never been to this restaurant or I love this restaurant or whatever it is. This particular meal wasn't very good, and here's why. And I don't know if it's just me or if it would be relevant for other people. See, a lot of times when we complain, it's all about us. This person was mean to me, or this person was mean to my kid, or whatever. And don't take yourself so seriously and get over yourself. What's more important, you or where you're headed? Or who you want to be to other people? When it comes to racism, what an amazing story that people of color were able to get away from slavery, that culture was able to change, and that an entire population went from being in slavery to being independent. And I'm not saying racism still exists, it does, but I'm not going to sit here and complain about it, because complaining about it does absolutely zero good. But I am here to tell you what a phenomenal story. Imagine being born into royalty. Is that an amazing story? I don't know. Maybe being born into royalty is cool. But it's not one where you could say, oh, wow, life was this way and look at it now. No, you can't really say that, but people of color can say, what an amazing heritage. Look at all the people behind me who helped change an entire culture that was in slavery, and now they're freedom. And they're able to live and do whatever the heck they want and prosper. That's a cool story. Look at all the people in Scotland who were able to free themselves from England. It's a cool story. They're not sitting there in the past going, oh, we were controlled by England for so long. How many of you have that sibling that always complains about how mom and dad treated us when we were kids and how awful life was like? A lot of people have that sibling that's always complaining. And are you attracted to it? Do you enjoy it? I hope not. Get the heck out of there. Complaining all day long, every day, in my opinion, it'll blacken your heart. It will harden your skin. People wear complaining on their face. And the people who don't complain, oh my gosh, everyone wants to be around them. Right? One of my favorite people in the whole world is Billy Stimson. And I've never once heard him complain, ever. Another favorite person of mine is Scott Hatley. He's got Duchenne muscular dystrophy and he's in a wheelchair and he can hardly move. I've never once heard him complain. Never once heard him complain. And people are in love with him. I'm in love with him. You can't stop complaining. It's a fact of life. And we all do it. But what you can do is do it less. What you can do is turn it into a question. Turn it into something positive. God, I hate the snow. All right. Here I go. What do I have to do? I got to go down that hill in the snow? All right, let's figure it out. Because I'm going to learn something from that. And I know this is kind of a hard, deep, heavy topic. But boy, I am no kidding aside. You want to go far in life? You're stuck in minimum wage and you hate it and you're miserable and you hate your job. Stop complaining about it and start asking people for advice on how do I get out of it? And do it in a way that isn't negative. I got to get out of this horrible job. No. I got to get into a job that inspires me, that I'm passionate about. Does that make sense? I hope so. Was this beneficial? Awesome. Cool. All right. That is it for today. Have a good week, everybody. And thank you all for listening. And I hope you all got something out of it.